You're working 70 hours a week, but the revenue line is barely moving. You have a vision to change the world, yet you're still stuck debating the cost of a new website while your team burns out on the event treadmill. Most organizations think they need to work harder to grow. The truth is, you probably just need to work a little differently. I'm Max Cran, and this is Tell Well the podcast. Today, Sherry Quam Taylor, an expert in scaling mission-driven organizations, shares how to stop being irrationally frugal and start leading investment-level conversations. If you want to move from begging for checks to inviting true partnership, stay with me. It's time to slow down to speed up.
Over the rainbow.
Sherry Quam Taylor, welcome to Tell All the podcast.
Max, how are you?
I am so good. It is so good to see your face. I have been following your content for a while now. We were just, as we were in the green room, we were talking about your email, and your email is just like chock full of good content. And so I think today's conversation is going to be so rich.
Thank you. Thank you for following along. I feel like a little extra pressure knowing that you're in the list. And what am I going to say when I launch this?
There's no pressure here because I think the thing that has just been solidified with every single email is that you love this space as much as I do.
Yeah.
And you have that kind of like singular mission of like helping great nonprofits do better work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so Sherry, can we start there? Can we just say, Sherry, for the people who don't know you, who the heck is Sherry?
Well, I'll tell you who I am. Yeah, I do love working with great nonprofits. And you know what I also love, Max? I love working with like great nonprofit leaders. Like I love, I was just telling somebody this morning, I was like, I have this leader. She is a rock star. Like I'm learning just as much, from her as I hope she's learning from me because she just leads so well through change, through up and down. So I love working with leaders who frankly are changing the world and are just killing it in so many areas. So, but yeah, I'm one of those people who left my corporate career long time now, 15 plus years, and had no idea I would be joining a nonprofit, but kind of did it as like, okay, let me just hop over here quick and help with this organization I was really passionate about. And then I stayed. And I had great success with this organization, loved it, learned so much, just took a lot of I don't know, just the skill sets that I had built into my work. And I kind of thought after, I don't know, maybe 3 years, I thought, I think I could run a business, like helping organizations scale and helping them scale through general operating revenue, which I found that not too many people were really focusing on.
No.
And so I got my first client and have never looked back. And what is that now? I'm on I think this will be year 13 as we turn into the new calendar.
That's incredible.
It is so much fun. I love running my own business and I love serving nonprofits. It is a front seat to what's going on in the world, which is pretty cool.
It's also a front seat and a fun place to be for seeing some of the world's most incredible change makers. And I think that's one thing that I'm always so grateful for, but also it's like a really big responsibility.
Yeah.
Because I like to say we get to do the fun stuff, right? Like we help with the marketing and the galas and the
Right.
fundraising and all of those pieces, and they're out doing the hard work. I'm
Yes.
curious, do you run into that too, where you're like, this is an incredible responsibility and I get to do the fun stuff?
Yeah, I do. Because I love what I teach them. And I think it's fun for me to we had a great example this week. It's fun for me when on a Monday morning, I get this email and the subject is amazing news. I'm like, what's the amazing news? Where they've been doing things really well. They've been doing great, but now it's next level. And to watch them have aha moments when they're already running great organizations, have incredible programs, boards, but they're like, maybe it was just something's quite not right, or I think we're leaving money on the table. And then to add that excitement or that skill set on top of it and have them get fairly quick results. So much fun. And I responded back with all caps and oh my gosh, tell me more. How are you celebrating today? And it was just such a fun, it's a small part, but but it was just like they're great students. And so they were like, let me take the information, let me go use it immediately. And they got like multi six-figure gifts within a week. So it was very fun.
That is incredible. And I feel like we need to say for the whoever's listening and whenever you're listening, she said that was Monday morning. It's Tuesday,
Oh yeah.
Tuesday early afternoon. So it's not been a whole long week yet. And
Yeah.
that's so fun to see. Sherry, can we go jump back
Yeah.
to kind of like the start of the work? And you had mentioned throughout some of the stuff that I've read, there were seasons where you were working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks,
Yeah.
trying to make the numbers work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, can you just tell us, because I think a lot of our listeners are probably experiencing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Can you just like take us back and what was that like? And what did that season teach you about how we wanted to do work differently?
Yes. And I would love to talk about that because I do not do that now. And so I feel like this has been a big journey for me. But I came out of a corporate career where we build on a 6-minute increment. So even today, I look at my watch and I'm like, oh, it's 1:36. Like I'm always looking like, what am I going to put on my time card? I'm on a 6-minute increment. And so I was very like ingrained in this hours to dollars. But also I was in my corporate career. I mean, I was early bird in my desk at 6:30 a.m. Like, I don't know when I would come home. I was working like a dog. And so those were I was younger and maybe a little dumber back then, but like, I was like, okay, this is what you do to climb the corporate ladder. And so I do feel like some of that came into nonprofit when I started volunteering for an organization that I just became really passionate about and then joined them. And it was like we were almost like working as a startup, but the plane was flying. It was a small organization, but it was growing and we tripled the revenue in 18 months. And so it was just like everything needs to be done. And I was the first staff member outside of a very visionary ED. So the structure, the operations, the finance, the comms, like director of ops was a giant umbrella kind of term for me. And there was nobody else to do it. So like I was doing it all. And so I quickly saw this need for hours to dollars fundraising. When I just come out of this agency life of our hours align with dollars. And so I was like, I am churning and burning with all of these small dollar donors. And I love that they're giving. Thank you so much for giving. But also there's only a couple of us. And so how do we actually realign what we're doing to make sure we do get the biggest bang for our buck so we can grow and then invest in more staff and just be a sustainable organization. So I feel like that has been rooted in me from day one. And that's really what I teach today. Like I didn't really know it at the time that I, 3 years later would be launching my own consultancy really based on this premise of we got to make sure our hours are aligned with dollars. And in a sector where if we Googled fundraising right now, it would tell us to do appeals and events and campaigns and Giving Tuesday, and which are all wonderful things. But I found that so few fundraisers have really had that skill set or that training of how do I actually walk a major donor through the organization's financial story, or what I would call like an investment level story or conversation. And so all that to say, I have taken that myself, even in my own business, and really am always all day long saying, well, let's really look at the cost of that activity you're doing and the hours and the energy. And maybe there are things that we did that got us to this point that were awesome, but they're not going to get us to the next point of our growth. And so what do we need to stop doing and what do we need to start doing so that we aren't continuing to work crazy hours in this sector?
Okay. So anybody that's listening, like you just got like a 4-minute masterclass in how to rethink of your organization as a business and as a business unit. Because like, I think that is one of the key things that is missing in a lot of our nonprofit sectors right now, where it's just, they're so focused on the how it gets done that they're leaving a ton on the table. And that's kind of what you're talking about, where it's like working smarter, not harder, but also figuring out what are these pieces that like scale with us, and like scaling and revenue and all of those things are like, I'm a nonprofit leader, I don't want to talk about revenue. Well, no, it's a tool, right?
But yeah.
To deliver your mission.
Yeah. And like a lot of my clients, and I work with a lot of different size organizations. I mean, they're running incredible $30 million businesses, right? Like they're, I mean, just astounding the work that they're doing. But I think what maybe you're kind of digging at a little bit, which I agree with, is, but like then our revenue generation or our engine that is funding it also needs to match that. And so often I just find that someone's kind of grown up through the organization and like, I'm gonna be in fundraising, and they might be killing it at more of those transactional activities or grant writing or all of those important things. But there comes a time and place when we want to pivot into more general operating dollars, larger transformational gifts, where that skill set just doesn't exist. And so I always say, like for my own business, I'm on year whatever I thought it was, 13. I've lost count.
Yeah.
I had, I don't know, 5, 6 sales coaches, and I'm a fundraiser, like because I want to know how to sell in my business. And I don't get on the phone with fundraisers who say, okay, so I've taken all these sales courses. I constantly am trying to learn how to sell, if you will. It's a little like, well, we kind of don't know what we don't know. We're doing our best. And so I'm just to say, I'm such a big believer. We have to be investing in ourselves and our skill sets, especially when these organizations, who we've never needed more, I might add, are doing incredible work, and they need to be sustainable. They need more general operating funding. They need more flexibility in their cash flow. Fundraising fixes that. But fundraising in grants and events and appeals does not fix that. Major gift work, transformational conversations, investment level conversations fixes that. And that's the skill and training that I find that so many fundraisers just simply have never benefited from.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I think boiled down a lot of what you're talking about. You're talking about how do we build relationships? How do we build trust? How do we talk about them as like small town cafe conversations?
Yes.
Because oftentimes you're wanting to have, when you're asking a friend, like, where do I go for X, Y, or Z thing? Today, we might ask Facebook that. But what we're trying to recreate is what are those like small town cafe conversations happening? Which, by the way, you're from a small town, right?
Yeah, real small. It's like 2,400 people. And my family's still there. Like my brother was the high school principal. It's just kind of funny. But I live in Chicagoland now, and I have for 30 years. But yeah, a small town. And my husband's a small town person. So sometimes we're like feeling like we're country bumpkins in the big city.
You're not country bumpkins. You belong there just as much as anybody. I'm also from a small town. 800 was our population.
That's
so it's
small.
funny. You talk about, did you say 2,400?
2,400. We were a metropolis compared to you.
Honestly. And like, okay, what's so funny about that is like, we're talking to you from North Dakota. And so in North Dakota, 2,400 is actually like I think a medium-sized town in North Dakota.
Yeah,
but
it's so funny.
So you've gone from this tiny town to now in the Chicagoland area, and you work with organizations from all over the
All
country.
over.
I'm curious, how do those like small town roots show up in how you lead and how you teach and just how you connect with people?
That's a really good question. You're in Dakotas. I'm originally from Iowa, so I'm like just like an hour from South Dakota. I have to tell you, my grandpa was the oldest mayor in Iowa, but his town was like 45 people, and it was all little old ladies that he would just like pick up their lawn. So I'm having a moment here of like, so you get this whole small town thing.
Yeah.
You know what I would say? I am from a small town, and I am from a family of farmers. And so that if someone said to me once, like, where's this work ethic from? Like, where is this early bird gets the worm? And like, we show up, we do the thing. We are in a schedule. We are, consistent. And I was like, I think this is growing up in a farming community, of just like, nobody else is showing up to do the work today, sick or not. Here we go. Like, you're doing it. And so I do feel like there's kind of that. And then, Midwest, I'm from the Midwest. I love the Midwest. And it is funny because I work with a lot of people on the East Coast, West Coast. It's kind of a fun part of my job. And I think people are always kind of surprised, like, you kind of, what you see is what you get. It's like, you're like normal and human. It's like, here's who I am. And so I think it's just, which is so important in fundraising, like show up and be yourself, because I'm only going to attract my clients, and donor or fundraisers are only going to attract the perfect donor if they show up and they actually just be themselves and be the best version of themselves, and not try to be the professional fundraiser version or kind of put these masks on. And so I just talk normal and say, mispronounce things and say words and just try really to be authentic. It's important for me to model that so that my clients feel comfortable modeling that to donors. But
The idea of just being a real human,
just a real human.
it's such a novel concept, it feels like, in 2025. And I think that it truly can be the differentiator between developing a transactional relationship and developing a real relationship that allows you to go after those bigger gifts as well.
Yes. The other day I was on the phone with somebody or a Zoom with a client, and they were telling me about a scenario, and some donor had like mailed in some check after they spoke to them a second time, and they mailed in another check. I said, you know what I would do? I would pick up this phone and I would say, "Oh my gosh, you just knocked my socks off." And they just like died laughing. I'm like, oh, look, I would literally just say that. I would literally be like, well, you blew us away. We just went to the mailbox, as opposed to, let me get a form letter out and thank you for your second tax deductible gift. It's just like, holy smokes, unbelievable. That was so generous. And so to me, that I'd rather receive that versus like, a week later to get the second form letter. But you got to be yourself to do that.
People are going to remember that call.
Yes.
They're not going to remember the letter.
You're so right. You're so right.
So you've talked about this idea of fixer-upper house as a metaphor. And I'm curious, what's the nonprofit version of that like messy, half-renovated house you love helping leaders turn into something beautiful?
Yes. So I think we bought a fixer-upper, I don't know, I guess 12 years ago. And I'm not doing any more work on it. It is officially fixed. Or not putting any more money into it, I should say. But we did the giant, the dream kitchen renovation during COVID. I'm still trying to decide if that was the best solution for our family and my marriage, just still trying to figure that out. But it looks great. You know what I would say, Max, is I find that I put off this kitchen renovation for way too long because it just felt like such a big investment. And it felt like, it just felt like such a big hurdle. And then the minute it was done, I was like, why did we wait so long? This is, now we actually enjoy cooking. We all of the things. And I do feel like sometimes I see, I'm maybe just being too frugal or too nervous Nelly, or I thought it was risky or something. And I love this phrase I heard one time on a podcast. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is like my life in nonprofit sector. And this woman was talking about somebody being irrationally frugal. And I thought, oh my gosh, I just see irrational frugality all the time on let's try to Band-Aid it. We want, it's like, I always say it's like we have a new strategic plan. We want a 3x growth. We want to go global. We want to do all these things. Oh, but that's not in the budget. Oh, we could never raise that. How would we do that? And so it feels very like we have the dream. We see the kitchen, in nonprofit, we see where we want to go. We have the strategic plan. But the steps to get there or to spend the money, to make money, it's very hard to put one foot in front of the other. So I felt like I was taking a little bit of my own medicine of no, you gotta rip the Band-Aid off and write the big check and learn how to or have a great kitchen. In my case, I always tell my clients, I'm investing in expensive coaches to help me scale and run my business. And it's me taking my own medicine. I'll tell you, I'm going to be an A+ student, kill it, when I'm investing in a coach. And so I want them to do the same. But we have to invest in ourselves. We have to invest in our businesses. We have to be open to change, and we have to be doing things that feel risky that probably really aren't that risky if we really want to move and change and shake things up. And that's really what the sector needs. And so I think that's what I've learned through my whole kitchen craziness here in my own house.
I think that is incredibly sound advice. And I'm not just saying that because you're in front of me right now. But like it is I think that there is too much. There's a non-realistic safety that people believe is there because they're doing the same thing. And I don't think what they realize is that if you're not growing, you are dying.
Yeah.
And we're so this last year at Tellwell has been our year of curiosity.
Oh, love it.
Where we're like, let's experiment, let's try things. We built a new building. It was crazy. Like it was
Wow.
lots of things
For
were
you.
crazy. It was terrifying, right? But now, as we've like done a bunch of experiments, what we're getting into now is our year of the craft or our year of consistency, where it's like, hey, let's take all of that great advice that we got from, again, those very expensive coaches,
Yeah.
just like you,
Yeah.
those very expensive coaches, let's put that into practice and then let's iterate on it a
Yes.
little bit as well. And I think what people get a little too comfortable in is just being in that tiny little iterative state.
Yes.
And sometimes in order to like do big things, in order to grow beyond where you are, if you actually want to do that, you do have to take some risk.
Yes.
How
Yes.
how do you coach people into taking that risk
That's a
or to
good
figuring out
question.
their tolerance maybe?
Yeah. I think I would say that, I mean, I'm literally sitting here going, like, I do understand that it feels risky, even when people hire me. It's always the question, like, am I going to make my money back? And I kind of laugh at that a little bit because I'm like, A, I wouldn't have a consultancy if you didn't make your money back. B, that is the lowest bar I would ever set. Didn't you? I thought we wanted to grow by millions. I'm not charging a million. So it's like, I also feel like there's kind of I don't know, a weird lens on what's risky or what's not risky. Sometimes, I'll do a little exercise, Max, of like, the what if scenario. Well, what if we need to spend this, or what if we need to invest in this? I flip the dollars that feel like, oh my gosh, I'll use a round number, $100,000. I think, yeah, but you're a $5 million organization. Like, what percentage of your budget is that? It's like, it's nothing. So I find that these, like, in our mind, these kind of money psychology things happen, and we're like, that's a huge number. I would never spend that on a new website or a strategic consultant or something. And I'm like, so you wouldn't invest in something that's maybe 2% of your overall budget that would actually maybe transform your whole organization? That seems weird. That seems like I would do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes we have to do these little games with ourselves to check ourselves to say, is this kind of like this, I don't know, age-old thing that I have a hang up about something costing something or spending money or we need to save too heavily, when actually this is a really good thing. And I'm saying I want to grow. I have the strategic plan that says I want to grow. I know I am doing things well, but I think I could be doing things better. Like, so why wouldn't I invest in myself? Every time I invest in myself, like, I've never regretted it. And so I feel like I do some little things like that to say, hey, flip it into the percentage, or what's the worst thing that would happen? Like, it's not, your organization's not going down, just because you got a new website or something.
Ah, this is it's so brilliant because I think oftentimes as nonprofit leaders, one of the things that folks are taught is that like we have to trust our gut, we have to trust our intuition. But I think we grow to a size as nonprofit leaders that intuition, you have to check it a little bit because oftentimes that intuition is coming from your personal experiences.
Yes.
And so, yeah, a $20,000 video or a $15,000 website or a $30,000 consultant. I don't know what you charge. So, but like whatever it is, it feels like a big number for us personally.
Yes.
But I love that framing of the percentage because it's like, yeah, that's like 1%.
It's
If
wild.
we can invest 1% and get 10% out, that's a wildly great return. That's better than anything you're going to do on the stock market.
Yeah, you're so right. You know what I follow? I don't know if you follow him, Ramit Sethi. He's got a podcast, a book. But he has this talks about money psychology and how our upbringing with money influences like our personal lives and savings and all this stuff. Anyhow, he was talking about he said, hey, there's three things we can do with money. So we'll see if I get this right. We can earn it, we can save it, and we can spend it. And so, but like we've been taught how to earn it, like go, you got to get the thing here. And we've been taught how to save it, like stockpile, 401k, IRA, like a whole thing. But then when it comes to spending wisely or spending to grow, like we haven't always been taught how to do that. I feel like I was like parented of like, you put it in the bank and then you put it in CDs and then you put it here and then you do rainy day and then you do future. I do all that, but also sometimes we actually have to spend the money for the results we want. We're not just going to watch free webinars for the rest of our lives and like have the aha moment. Like sometimes we actually need to invest in somebody who's gone before us. And I love kind of thinking about that because I think even as nonprofits, it's like we're, like to save it, get the reserve strong. And I believe in that and all of that. But it's like when it comes to spending, it's like, oh, we couldn't do that. How would we do that? It's like, that's actually building your engine and building that muscle that you need so you can grow over here. But it's really hard.
Yeah. Oh, just one good ism after another. There's a book that was introduced to me by our chief of staff, Annie Wood, and it's called The Answer to How is Yes. And it's fascinating because it is just like, if you reframe it, if you put yourself in a mindset just a little bit differently, you can figure out the brain is just like built to figure out all the reasons why something doesn't work or why not to
you're
do
so
something.
right.
But it takes true leaders and the folks listening to podcasts like this, engaging with folks like you that are saying like, let's find a reason to say yes.
Yeah.
And those are the people that get me so excited.
So fun. I have this thing right here. This is like my inspiration wall. And it says, the only limit is your mind. Mm-hmm. And I literally printed it and put it up because it's just, I don't want to be like myself, the one getting in the way with my personal growth, my business growth, my clients' growth. So often I see fundraisers kind of in their own way. And what would that person think? And they're going to think I'm too pushy, all the things. Like that is in your mind. And like, don't let that be the thing that's blocking you. Invest in yourself and grow. And usually we're making up some of that stuff anyhow.
It's so wildly true. I want to jump to a bit that you talk about a little bit through some of your content. And you talk about a lot of nonprofit leaders being stuck on the event treadmill. And so I'm curious if somebody's listening right now and they're feeling that way because we're in event season.
We are.
Right? This might come out around Giving Tuesday. We have a big one in our area called Giving Hearts Day. Yeah. I'm curious, what is the first mindset shift or small action they should take to move maybe away from that event treadmill into investment level fundraising?
Yeah. So Max, I've been accused of not liking events, and that is not the truth. I go to plenty of events that are lovely. And, I support my clients having events. What I find, and maybe kind of the misstep oftentimes I see, is that like the event is held in this, the event, where it has a goal and I like it to have a goal. But my point is, your mid and major level donors are never going to give their best gift as a result of an event. And so in my consultancy, I sit on the premise that we have the power as fundraisers to lead every donor on an amazing journey and to be sitting down and asking them to give their best gift to your organization and then get that gift every year. And I find that oftentimes events are a bit of a crutch to be like, yeah, we ask everybody to give. We do it at an event every year. When at the top of the pyramid, I want those solicitations to be held one-on-one, to be as a result of this rhythm and cadence we've talked about of a deep relationship to where we are sitting down and soliciting donors. And so I find so much money left on the table when organizations do kind of bounce to event that's attracting smaller dollar donors at the bottom of the pyramid. And I find that they're just leaving so much money on the table because they're so busy doing the event that we kind of are losing the sight of, wait, actually that person who kind of comes and does the 10K paddle raise, they're writing $100,000 checks down the road. And we are so busy in the event and appeal cycle that we aren't taking the time to just to get to know that donor and eventually be leading them through an investment level conversation into an ask. And so I love events, but for many of our donors, those events should just be a step in their overall experience, not like the annual experience, which I just find so often.
If you are listening to this podcast and you aren't thinking about how to implement just like that idea or thinking about the how of that idea, please like just press pause and go and like spend 3 minutes thinking about it, because that is like a game changing thought, a shift in thinking that like could realistically make you an extra 10, 15, $100,000 if you just think about it for like 4 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And like I'll say something and some people are like, gasp, just shocked. I'll say like, okay, so that, okay, let's say we're having a gala and a board member says, oh my gosh, we finally got the Thomases to come to our gala. We're like, oh my gosh, the Thomases are like the wealthy couple in town and like all the things. And we're like high-fiving. And I'll say to them, okay, so we got them to come. Great. This is the first like time they're hearing about you. The first time they get to hear the stories of how many lives are being changed. That's incredible. Let's tell them not to give. It's like, what do you mean tell them not to give? We got them to come to the event. I'm like, you're going to trade. In essence, they're going to give you a small gift on the first date. And shouldn't we like get to know them and take that 6 months, 12 months, 18 months and see if our mission is their mission for giving and lead them on a journey? And wouldn't we rather do that and maybe in 18 months be sitting down and asking them for a large gift? I will make that trade any day of the year, but we're so conditioned to like get him in the room and, get the money. And so I think like this whole event thing, it sometimes makes us very focused on, we have a $250,000 goal for the event, or we're really focused on this event, but we're like missing sight. We're missing kind of the long-term view that our organization has a $5 million need, and in another year it's going to have a $6 million need and a $7 million need. And so we got to anchor our strategy and relationship building on that versus, oh my gosh, the event needs to raise this. And that is a very hard shift oftentimes. It feels risky for people. And I say, hold on, we got to do tortoise fundraising, not hare fundraising. Tortoise fundraising is how we're going to build sustainability in your organization. And it feels counterintuitive in the sector, sadly.
Slow down to speed up.
Slow down to speed up.
Oh,
I love that
amen.
phrase.
So, Sherry, you've gotten to know us just a tiny bit. Like, we believe stories are the best way to connect folks. And we think that they shape who we are. So one of our standard final questions is, what's one story from your life or work that still guides how you show up today?
Ooh, a story of how I show up today. Well, I will tell you, and actually I just gave this to another, she was a client and now I count her a friend and colleague. And I think about it often. It's probably written on my wall over here somewhere too. But I was early on working, maybe this was like my second, business coach I was working with. And she said something to me that kind of stopped me in my tracks and frankly really changed the trajectory of my own business. And we were talking about, acquiring clients and that sort of thing. And she was asking about my LinkedIn presence and my email list, which we talked about. And she kind of stopped and she's like, Sherry, your clients aren't hiding from you. You're hiding from your clients. And like, I can literally remember her saying this. And I thought, no, I'm not. And then I thought, yeah, because I just have this like smaller referral-based business, what I was super proud of. I love getting referrals. That means I did a great job for somebody. But it also wasn't scaling at the rate I thought and knew it could scale. And I realized I don't know, like I did have something to say, but I wasn't, brave enough or consistent enough to say, no, here's actually what I believe. It actually is a little bit ruffling the feathers of the nonprofit sector of what we need to be focusing on. And so from that day forward, I said, I'm not going to hide anymore. And that was in 2019. And I post on LinkedIn every day because of it. And I have consistently from there. And I built my list and I just stopped hiding. And so my friend who's starting her own business, I said, just like from day one, if I could have done anything different, it'd be like, just check yourself. Are you hiding? And what are you hiding from? Because you do have important things to say. And you do have an authentic goal and hope to help people. And that will come through. But like, you got to use the mouthpiece that you have. And I find that also, like, I've kind of translated that into a lot of my work of oftentimes your donors and funders are not hiding from you, but it might be way easier for you to sit behind your computer. You know, I always say, like, stay on the email machine and be blasting people versus going and having the coffee, going and doing the one-on-one. We can't hide.
That's brilliant. That's so good.
It's so simple, but it really changed the way I showed up.
Simple is not always easy.
Yes.
Right? But you're not in this work to be easy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds weird when I say it like that.
I didn't take it weird.
For easy work, right? You're in this because it's changing communities, because it's changing lives, because it's having real impact on the world and our society. And so that idea of like, get out from behind the computer, get out from behind the email and go and have a real conversation, make a real connection.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a hugger, right?
Yeah.
I recognize I'm a hugger. And I've tried to get other people to become more huggy, especially like in our post-pandemic times. And like, I think that there is something so powerful about connection,
Yes.
right? And what you're talking about is go make real connection with people.
Yeah. Okay, go make connection. And yeah, I feel like it's I don't know. I think there's like especially in fundraising, there's like this whole nother level of relationship building that I think like we kind of think, yeah, but I could never have that friendly relationship with a donor. This is business. But like you can actually. It takes time and it takes consistency and it takes discipline and it takes us showing up as humans. And that's, to me, like, that's the fun fundraising. People, like board members sometimes will say, like, I hate fundraising. I hate, don't make me ask people for money. I say, I think you hate what you think fundraising is, because I wouldn't want to get a list of 10 names for the list, do forced posts on Giving Tuesday, invite my friends to go to another chicken dinner. Like, I wouldn't want to do that either. But if it means, hey, I actually think my friend would really love this mission, and maybe I'll tell her why I'm involved and ask her if she'd have any interest. Like, it's relationship building. And so we think we hate it, but it actually looks a lot more like normal human life fundraising if we let fundraising be that.
Oh, so good. So good. Our last one, and it feels silly to even be asking this at this point because there have been so many great little like nuggets from this. But just for fun, what's one simple thing that you'd leave people with? This could be a piece of wisdom or a reminder that helps people lead with purpose.
Yeah. Again, I all of my stories are from coaches and stuff, but I really do feel like, and this is maybe more of a tip of like anytime I'm nervous, feeling like, oh my gosh, this is a really big meeting I'm having, or like this board member is really fancy, or oh my gosh, I really would love this client. They're doing incredible work. I feel like it's very easy to go into this, like, this is from a study by Deborah Tannen. It's not mine, but she talks about being one up or one down, meaning like, oh, I really hope they hire me. Like, I really want to work with them. So that's one down. And then one up would be like us fearing that we're being pushy, we're being used car salesmen. I bring that up because with our friends, with our family, we don't worry we're begging or being too pushy. We just show up right here and just, hey, how's it going? Like, great. Yeah, let's grab dinner. And so I always, part of Deborah Tannen's study is like, you have to have this peer anchor. So like when you are going into the big meeting and the big nervous meeting, like in my mind, I'll think, I'm just going to dinner with my two girlfriends that we kind of go to a lot of new restaurants together. And like, I'm just going to show up in that tone because that's who I am. And so I just always think about like, am I coming into this meeting? Am I coming into this interview, whatever it is? Am I coming in like this or like right here? Because this is where I want it to be. I coach that to my fundraisers too, of just like showing up and being the truest, authentic person you could be. We've talked about that today, but I really do feel like it has been a game changer in my business. It's just how I talk and just how I coach.
Incredible. Sherry, I am so glad that I like slid into your DMs.
I am
And
too.
I'm so glad that you've been on the podcast today. You're our first remote podcast of the season.
Oh,
And
good.
so I'm going to shout out to my team for like getting us all set up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, team.
They're going to be like, just what you said, thank you, Win. It's like, no, listening to the podcast. But Sherry, if people want to connect with you, one, I feel like just a very simple thing to change your fundraising today is sign up for Sherry's email list.
Thank you.
So like, how do people connect with you?
Yeah, hop on my website. So it's Quam Taylor, Quam Taylor.com, or I'm on LinkedIn every day. So that's me not hiding on LinkedIn. So, connect with me on LinkedIn, and I have a lot of content on there as well. And I just love to talk to you.
Awesome. Sherry, from one small town kid to another that is hopefully out and doing cool and big things in the world. Thanks for the way that you're showing up. Thanks for not hiding. And thanks for being a part of Tell All the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Max.
Thanks for spending some time with us today. I hope this conversation gave you something useful to take back to your work. If you're looking for more resources on storytelling, strategy, and building communications that actually move people to action, head on over to WeTellWell.com. We've got guides, case stories, and plenty of ways to dig deeper. And if you're at a point where you're ready to get serious about clarifying your message or telling your story in a bigger way, let's talk. You can book a planning call with our team right on the website. We'd love to hear what you're working on. One last thing. If this episode was helpful, share it with someone on your team or leave us a review. It really does help other mission-driven folks find the show. I'm Max Kringen. Thanks for listening to Tell Well the podcast. Now go tell your story well, because a well-told story can move your mission forward and change the world.
We don't need a destination. Let's go where the river's taking us.